Hello, Next community. Well, this is Newby Makes a Screensaver Part 2. And, well, I fell down the rabbit hole. So I kind of had to rethink how I'm going to go about doing this. And I've done some programming in the past with COBOL and kind of tinkered with the Next developer tools. But I am amazed at how well all this is really put together. So I was trying to run the screensavers, and you run little utilities called in your terminal app. You run make install, and they have modules preset, and it looks like they're compiling. And then I realized some of them are just for the Intel platform. So when you compile them, they're just compiling for Intel. Now, the Next developer tools, if you set them up right, you can actually, at the same time, compile for 4 different platforms. So you get the original Next 68K, Intel, then there was HPPA RISC, as well as Spark. And when it went to OpenStep 4.2, you can also, believe it or not, those same apps will compile and run across Windows, which I thought was really neat. And then with the Apple Next merger, you could actually port that 4.2 app over to Mac OS X initially, or OS 10. And then I guess now it's called Swift. They have a whole new set of developer tools. So these were kind of the granddaddy to all of that. And so I got into this Next developer. You install all the packages, and then there's examples, and you can jump into the app kit, and that's where I found the example for Backspace amongst other apps. And in going through them all, it says Calculator Lab, where you make a little calculator, was the first application you built in the Next Developer School. You can kind of see that. So it's Lab 1 of the Developers Camp. So I thought, oh, wow, this is kind of neat. I could make a little calculator. And then you can also make like a drawing application, as well as back what they called Backspace, and that spawned. They wanted to have stars in the background, like so you're flying through like Star Trek. And so I got to thinking, well, I really need to figure out what's going on, because I started playing in what's called Project Builder and Interface Builder and Icon Builder, and I soon, as I say, fell down a rabbit hole. I was doing builds, and I wasn't really sure. Then I cluttered up my whole file structure, and then I found kind of the golden ticket. So, fortunately, I did enough research and fumbling through here to find out the key to all this is our documentation. And if you go into release notes in your Next Developer Docs section, and by the way, this was the first searchable indexing service for any computer, so it's pretty neat. It's like a digital librarian. And this is the precursor to the World Wide Web and what made a lot of the web possible. So with release notes, what you can do is you click, highlight that, and then it lists the tools, and then it'll bring up a directory. And so this goes through, and I'm just kind of going through and learning what all this stuff is, how it works and interfaces together. And then from there, once you kind of learn the ropes, and as I say, I'm overcoming a lot of learning curves. You start to go to starting out, and that kind of gets you started on building your first application. And so I've got some ideas flowing around in my head, what I'm going to make for an application. And in this case, I decided, Well, I'm going to make something and call it the Badass app. All right. And so I've actually got that build started in Project Builder. And let's see if it even shows up here. So I've already got it started. There it is. So my Badass app, I'm not even sure what it's going to do, but it's already started to build, and I already made a little logo for it here. You have to make a 48 by 48 logo, and then that'll appear like these little logos down here. And so I've got that going, and then from there, you go in and it lets you add in your help section. So it shows you how to add in your help and all that type of stuff. And then you go and then start to build the application from there. And so there's kind of a step-by-step process. So I'm just, as I say, it's a newbie building a screensaver, and I fell down into the next uh, NeXTstep Openstep Developer hole. And so I installed all the NeXTstep 3.3 applications first, all the developer tools. And then I upgraded to 4.2 and installed all the developer tools and installed all the Y2K patches. And I figured I might as well cover all my bases. If I make it compliant, then hey, as this goes on, I don't know how many parts this will be, but I may be able to even take it over to Rhapsody and to Mac OS, and who knows where it goes from there. But I'm going to have some fun with it. From my understanding, towards the end of the Backspace app, which I thought would be kind of fun, they said that it would be possible to put a game on the front end. So instead of your, just having a boring, Backspace screensaver, if somebody wanted to just come and play around on the next, maybe kids and stuff like that, instead of them logging in and mucking around, you could set it up to where they can play their game without getting into your stuff, which obviously is a huge idea, and please let me have that one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I would enjoy having people help me out. And in going through some of the code, it's funny because I'm recognizing some of the names. Like Bill Baumgartner. He's in the screensaver. He'd probably chuckle out there. And but yeah, I know that you wrote some of that code, so maybe you can help me on this project as well. So what I'm doing for a customer, they've sent me their logo here, and it's a West Cap, and so I'm making a custom login panel, but I want to make a screensaver. That's what got me started on this, where it kind of bounces around. And then, I want to make it transparent so anybody would be able to add their logo or their picture or whatever they want for their custom screensaver and have it as, your own custom screensaver. So as I go on and get better at this, I will continue to make these little videos for all the original Next hardware owners out there, and hopefully we can collaborate and work together on this and make some fun, free apps for everybody. And if, some of the apps are good enough, maybe I can even get 99 cents a piece for them. So my heart's in it, and I really appreciate everybody's business and patience. And I'm also working on some original Next hardware here projects as well. Working on repairing some printers, and I've got that TurboCube Dimension going to MIT Media Labs. Matt is working on the caps. I had Tom over, and he's been helping me get the basement organized. I've got another system going up to Concordia in Canada, and I sent out a bunch of stuff, smaller packages. So it's fun and entertaining, and stay tuned. I just wanted to kind of show you some of this Next developer stuff. And so let me open this, what I called the garbage folder. it's not really garbage, but when I started installing, I just was going at it willy-nilly from a terminal window and not really sure until I figured out, hey, you need to change the directory to compile within the folder that you're supposed to be. But it wound up installing all these apps in my root directory, so I went through and I moved them into a separate folder. But it was getting really cluttered. As I say, I was in the dark until I found all of the developer documentation as well as the how-tos and kind of a step-by-step process. And there are some good developer books out there where I'm actually friends with the authors, right? So that'll be kind of fun to see if they're still around and would be willing to maybe step in and help as well. So it's kind of a revival of these good old tools, and we'll be able to make some fun apps for the good old Next computers. Stay tuned, and happy St. Patty's Day, by the way.